open the planning board meeting of May 2nd. Okay, I need a motion. I need a second to open the meeting.
So motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Okay.
Aye, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna open at 7 p.m. Any sign-offs tonight? No sign-offs. Okay, minutes for the 328 zoning bylaw hearing to approve, and minutes from the 4/4/2017 planning board meeting to approve. I need a motion and a second.
So motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Bills to approve from GZA. First one is Billis Way for $2,900. Second one is 194 Main Street, $4,100. And the third one is Groveland Auto, $4,300. Need a motion to approve.
So motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, votes unanimous. We did talk, Carl Crabchuck had dropped in, and he just told us where he was at this point in time. They're gonna be digging a foundation for a house up there, and the second house, we're not quite sure when they're gonna do that, but, you know, they do have the binder coat down. And because that's a private drive, he will put the final coat down later in the year. Hopefully he gets the other house going as well. And it was somewhere around November last year when he put down the binder coat. So if he gets it down, you know, if he can get it down in October, that would be fine. At that point, the final coat, if he's ready. He also needs to do with the pins on all the lots up there as well, and then we need an engineer to check that. I'm gonna skip a little bit, we'll go right on to Center Street at this point, so we can get everybody taken care of. So I know you did a pre-explanation, why don't you do another one, Phil?
So is this a hearing? Is this a,
It's, well, what
What are we
we're
doing?
gonna be doing is, it's not site plan, it's stormwater and
earth removal?
it's land disturbance.
Okay. So
And
that-
do you have the green cards and everything?
I
with you?
do.
Okay,
Do you have a copy of the notice too?
Thank you.
Or tear sheet, or?
We got tear
Yeah, there we
sheets
go.
as
Yeah,
well.
it's
Yeah,
here.
he's got it.
It's here.
Okay, all right. Okay, roughly, we got the dates, it was.
Yep.
Okay,
The 14th and the 21st of April.
4/14.
It has a label?
Planning board,
No, I mean, is it a hearing? Is it?
public hearing.
Okay, okay. Earth removal.
Okay.
Stormwater management and
Okay.
land disturbance.
All right, what we have before is the tear sheets from the Eagle Tribune. It was advertised in 4/14 and 4/28. Also, all of you got something in the mail, you signed a green card, it came back and everything. Is there anybody here that didn't get one? Okay.
Okay, so we got some,
You
certified
got-
notices,
you-
we're
you
going
get-
to the abutters?
Yeah.
And abutters to the abutters? Do you abut this project?
I do.
Okay.
What's,
Do you have your address?
Maybe my husband got it.
Okay.
It is.
We got one.
All right.
That answers that
We
question.
got that on camera, right? Sorry.
It's a small town, everybody knows everything. You know? Okay.
So you get the, so we need a motion to open the hearing for the storm water management, earth removal for the Center Street site in Chesterton.
Okay, you making that
I am,
motion?
I am.
Okay, second is Eric Hillian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
So you want to start the 5-minute
Sure.
song and dance and
Good
then,
evening, my name is Philip Christensen, for the record. We have this is a 9.9 acre parcel on Center Street. Center Street is shown on the top of the plan here. Chesterton's over here. Murray, it says Murray Court, Murray Ave are down here, and Harvard is over here, and the commercial properties across the street. So, as you're aware, there was a Form A plan signed, an approval not required plan creating 5 lots here. You know, all have frontage on Center Street, and all have the required buildable area. So what we're proposing to do is build 5 houses. Septic systems are shown on the plan down front. 2 of the houses on the larger lots are towards the back, and the other 3 houses are within about 100 feet of Center Street. One of the things we have discussed with Mr. Eric Kalian, the Highway Department, there's plans to reconstruct Center Street at this location. There's a high point in the road, and also there's quite a bend here. So in doing this work, we've agreed to do the earthwork required to lower the road and take out some of that curve, put in a shallower curve through here, and then that road would be rebuilt. But that would be at the end of construction here, so the construction doesn't damage the new roadway that's put in. But by doing that, we'll get rid of that hill in the middle of the road, which is a little dangerous right now.
okay. And this is an application that's being brought by Chesterton. They're in the home business now?
It isn't, it's being brought, no, it's not being brought by Chesterton.
Oh, who
Being
is it?
brought by us.
Oh, so you purchased the land from
Yes,
Chesterton?
that's correct.
So the
yes.
engineering, the engineers are doing the building?
Right.
Ah, okay. So
And
this
you
has
had your-
nothing to do with Chesterton anymore?
Had nothing to do with Chesterton.
What was the sale of the property, that Chesterton? How much did that go for the parcel? It's public record, so,
Well, that's what you can look into public.
well, I'm asking as a board member and for the community. So was it,
I don't know that
rough guess?
that's a reasonable question.
It's a very reasonable question on the value of land and the parcels in here and to show what it goes for. I mean, this was, everybody wants to know, and the town does. Everybody's on
I-
cameras.
Let's go through the project. I
So-
can send you a note, or send the board a note with regard to the price. Well, I mean, that's not part of the process.
It kind of is on the total project, as to
No,
what the
it-
houses are gonna go for, what the land's gonna go for, and
Well-
if you're gonna be doing the building, what's gonna happen out
The
there.
houses are probably in the $600,000 range.
Okay, that's one aspect of it. All right,
right.
we'll expect an answer to the board.
But,
Resident wants to know, we're gonna announce it to the board, but also if we have anybody in here, since it's a public record.
well,
What's that?
it's recorded in the registry of deeds.
Right, so anybody can look that up if anybody
Right.
wants to try to get a number here and spout it out. I mean, I don't know why that's a big mystery, it shouldn't be, but
I just don't know why it's an issue for a land
it's
disturbance.
not an
and-
issue. We always ask that question coming through, because this is the first that I've heard that you folks, not Chesterton, was developing and doing this. When you were before us, Chesterton owned the land, and
Yes.
you were subdividing this out for Chesterton, and we, put the driveway. So this transaction occurred post.
Yes.
So it's the first we're hearing about it with the board. It makes a big difference as to who we're dealing with. I was expecting you representing Chesterton, so thank you for pointing that out.
Well, it's in the application here, too.
Yeah, well, that's what made me look when I saw this over here, so.
So what we're doing is, and what's important in your land disturbance and stormwater management, Article 14, is that anytime there's a disturbance of more than 20,000 square feet of land, you have to file an application with the board. The board gets to review it in terms of stormwater management and also in terms of sedimentation and erosion control. That's the purpose of the review and the hearing here. Now, what it says is the area that drains to the town of Groveland. It's a little odd wording, but just so you know, we're proposing to regrade the property, but this blue area on the plan is the only area that flows towards, when we're done, that will flow towards Center Street. This tan area in the middle, all of this drainage flows internally. This green area in the back will not be touched for the construction of this project. So anything that's in green down here, the trees remain, we're not disturbing the earth. So the earth removal includes and the earth disturbance includes the tan area and the blue area. On both this side of the property and this side, the ground is high. So we have to cut here, and there's a cut here. The elevation of the homes on Harvard and Murray are approximately elevation 70, 71, 72. And that's what we're proposing for the grade here. So the house in here would be at elevation 71, same with the house over in here. The reason I mention that is it's important to a lot of the folks that, for one thing, we're not building these houses higher than they are and looking down on them. And the other thing is, with this hill here, the people that live on Harvard won't be able to see into the project. This hill will protect their backyards. This is a cut here from this elevation down to here, and that's where the house will be built. So we're trying to, it's done in such a way to try to minimize disturbance in the back here. The drainage was very difficult to do. Part of that is because it's all sand on the site. Sand has a rapid permeability. When it's forested, there's very little runoff. Once you cut the trees, you get a lot of runoff just from the lawns. And one of the things we did was, rather than allow the runoff to come down to Center Street, we came up a bit and then decided to start grading so the water flows back into this area. And that helped us balance the flows out. We do have a couple of stormwater structures down through here. You'll see them in the calculations, but there's chambers underground. So in larger storms, they have an effect. In the smaller storms, it doesn't really matter. But we've substantially reduced the amount of area that flows in this direction. There's no increase in flows to the neighbor's property, obviously here. This is higher and it slopes towards the land here. This is a low spot on the property, so everything flows towards this. And there's no increase in flows in this direction. What we've done too to manage how this is done and to reduce the amount of open land at once is to phase the excavation in 4 phases and leave this 4th phase along Center Street to last, so that we just have an entrance here, and then we excavate this area. Once that's done, move to phase 2, then to phase 3, and then finally open up towards Center Street here. But what that does is in each phase, we take down the trees, stockpile the loam, excavate to the proposed grades, then put the loam back, hydroseed it, and then proceed to the next phase. So that's to reduce the amount of sedimentation, even wind-blown sedimentation that might occur as a result of that work.
Is there ledge under this?
Not that we found yet.
So what are you mining out of here?
It's sand.
Sand?
There's
Okay.
no ledge. The only water we hit is down in this corner. The land, by the way, goes from elevation maybe about 54 here and here to elevation 90 back in here. And the water table elevation is probably 48, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Now-
and we dug test pits all along through here. There was no water at all, but we only went down about 10 feet. And then we dug them back in here, and again, we were down about 10 feet. But my estimation is that you could probably go down 30 or 40 feet. If you look at the plan, you'll see these spots. Is it elevation back here, elevation 60, 64, there's 2 holes back in here. and they're dry as can be, so. My guess is if you dug there, you'd still be able to go down another 10 or 20 feet before you hit water. But,
Any reason why this didn't come before us as a CSD? Because this is primo type here for conservation subdivision design. Instead of a mining operation, you get going there with some huge cuts that we can see. And also, this is right across the street from the 200-plus acres the town purchased. Have you made a pitch to the town to see if they're even interested in this parcel, since it's right across the street
We
and it's
haven't
such a
asked.
large area?
we haven't asked, I don't know if they'd be interested or not.
Well, we got one of the selectmen in here, so, but only because that is enormous. When you start excavating, what is that, 6+ acres?
Yes, that would be
That'll be
excavated,
disturbed,
yeah.
that's a lot,
Yeah.
especially in that area. And I understand what the road commissioner's saying, you know, to help out with that curve, and I see a few of the other things there. But if you're gonna build on this, I think the board would like to see a CSD, which would minimize most of that. Half of that land would at least go to the town, and your expense for a mining operation would be way down.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One is, this could be an 8-lot subdivision, which we chose not to do. Okay, you know, if we're going for a CSD, we would go for 8 lots, not
So,
5.
But it's
But
still
anyway,
less disturbance, yeah.
It would be less disturbance, but the application is for what's here, not for the CSD.
Yeah, but you didn't even mention the fact, at least with this board member, as we already mentioned, this came in as Chesterton A&Rs, not a mining operation, not that you guys purchased the land, and yeah, you can build, whatever the reg says you can build, that's fine, as long as you meet the reg. But now that you're into this operation, I think the board particularly would like to see a build-out on a CSD, a cartoon, look at that, a pitch to the town, this is enormous.
If we were filing a subdivision, I agree with you, but we're not.
But
We're just
you're
finding-
trying to put the cart before the horse by clearing out a large 6+ acres with 30-foot cuts or beyond in some areas,
No,
at a
not
guess.
beyond, no.
Okay, 30's quite a bit, taller than this building, okay? And then prepping the site to then go into the A&R. So why go through all that if by a simple cartoon and a meeting with the board, you can see what a CSD looks like, so you eliminate half of that. The town would get 50% of the land, you still get your 8 lots in what you're doing for what you're trying to build, and the community, and particularly in that area, has a better
Well,
environment.
we'll consider that. We hadn't thought of it. We will consider it. But we'd like to proceed with this process.
To answer your question, it would be, particularly in that where it's well hidden, that's where you could come in, have a nice little community right in there with 8 houses on reduced lot, but not, and I'm not gonna say clear cut, because you do have some, a couple of acres that are untouched there, but when you start mining out almost 7 acres to what's over there, if you folks that live there, on the left, it's all trees, and now all of a sudden, it's gonna be, you know, bringing out
Well-
the road, that's tremendous.
But
Plus,
what-
one of these driveways is, you know, it's nice to have them in the back, it's one of the bigger lots, but you still got what here, a 250
Just so,
driveway?
yeah, but just so you understand too, when we're speaking with the neighbors, they were quite happy that these houses were, at least the elevation of their houses, and not elevated, not up in the air.
Yeah.
And they liked the idea also that they wouldn't see it because this is gonna be lower with this hill in
So
between.
imagine if you concentrated that area in the middle, okay, and the same, would have the same effect, but you would have a little 8-unit community in there with, instead of 6 or 7 acres, it's only 2 or 3 that you have to take care of.
Well,
Hold on a minute.
The houses,
we can look at
Well,
it.
one of the changes that we did make to CSD, Wally, was the new zoning bylaw, which we're under the new zoning bylaw now, because it was passed. They have to be sewered. That was one of the things that we missed in CSD initially, was that we didn't put that in there.
How far is
Because
that from
there
that
are
area?
extreme areas in this town that will never see sewers.
so what's,
That was to simply say it would have to be connected to the Groveland sewer system.
how far are we from that over there? It's on 260.
Basically-
Chesterton's on sewer, isn't it?
Chesterton is
Chesterton's
not.
separate.
Not-
We really need to run a sewer up to Chesterton. We need to run a sewer up to Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth, that area as
No,
well.
we don't.
Well, let me tell you right now, I saw a lot of above ground going on up there. Once they start doing that, they start failing.
Put in a flat one 2 years ago when
That, you're asking retired people to remortgage their house, that's not good.
Let me tell you, sewer's just as much as the new septic system today.
but we've already put
We
in a new
voted and we
septic
voted
system.
That's what I'm saying, I know you have, I see it. It'll fail again. Yeah.
No, they voted, they don't want the sewer. So, can't.
Go ahead, Bill, go ahead, Bill, I know you want to talk.
You know, as a business, my business is there because of this property. I've never heard from anyone on this project whatsoever. No one has gotten a hold of us, no one's contacted us until tonight. Number one, this project is gonna lower my land value. There's no consideration whatsoever for my business. I've been there and worked hard for 30 years. Number one. Number two, you're talking about turning this into a mining gravel operation, which that should have been brought out in the forefront and not hidden. I believe this has been hidden so you guys can hog that gravel out of there to make some more money in your project. That's number one. How long is it gonna take to get all that gravel out of there? That's a lot of acreage. That would take a couple of years if they could hog all that out of there. Furthermore, when you made this plan, why didn't you take consideration that we had businesses across the street there and not have dumped those driveways out onto the road? Probably because if you put a subdivision in there, it was gonna take you longer to get it through, and this was the easiest process to get it taken care of. That said, please, if you can have a little consideration for the businesses that are down there, this is not fair, and I believe this has been kinda rammed through, and I don't like it. Thank
This is
you.
this is the
Well,
first step here for they're only in here for the permit, and what they're trying to do is show the big
Yeah.
picture layout. It was a surprise to me on the switch out. The A&R's no problem, because we see this all the time, you know, some people do the A&Rs, they sell them off one at a time and whatever. But they are going through procedure on this, so, and that's why we're here, and it's great, we're getting some input.
But I understand that the way this is set up, that the lots are approved,
The A&Rs are approved, but not a mining operation,
lots,
and
no.
certainly not other stuff.
If they've done this. if
They could
don't
go
do
one
it,
at a time.
Go ahead and do it.
Right in there under the air, but because there's so much, they gotta come under this, they gotta come under this reg. So, and then we do have
But I'm saying, if they have
some
the
other
right to
input
do
too.
it, you would think they'd have some consideration for the people that are there, they're gonna be devaluing our property. You think they would've contacted us and said, you know,
Well, let's see where, we get a real good look as to what's gonna happen. Did you have anything else to add before we open up for questions? And we have our review engineer to throw some stuff out too.
No, just, we did get the correspondence from the review engineer, but we only got it Saturday.
Yeah,
That's how we got it.
Yeah, so,
that's
no time to
normal.
respond. I had
Right.
talked to Jim and I said,
Friday, I mean.
why don't we postpone the meeting a month or whatever? I'll get the responses so that the review engineer and I can get together on it.
Right.
And get all the issues resolved. Jim thought it best, we just open the hearing and just get it going.
What's the timeline on this one? Is this 90, 120, 30?
Well, I mean, I think it's 65 days, but, you know, literally, I
On the
mean,
site plan-
we
on
can
the,
ask for extensions,
removal?
you know. If we have to render a decision from the day we open 65 days later, I mean, we.
So we're gonna
held
need
to
an
that.
extension on that, especially if we're
Yeah.
going through the reviews, so,
Well,
as we
65
get
days, I don't
close.
know if you need an extension yet. I mean.
no, but eventually, just
You
looking at the
may.
way this goes, and we just started, and you already what's the timestamp on this one? April what?
20,
We're already 30 in, maybe? Because the advertising went out 21.
the advertisement went out the
Well,
14th, 3/29.
Yeah, so you're a month plus in, so you got
Okay.
30-something days, right?
But when the time comes, if you need an extension, we'll grant
I
it.
think you're gonna need it already, because we're already beyond 30.
And as far as the comments from the peer reviewer, I didn't see any problems in addressing all of those.
Yeah. So why don't we get those up? You wanna walk through those and throw up what you've got and on the big picture thing, and then we can go back and forth on it, or introduce yourself to,
My name is Phil Henry with Civil Design, Group, representing the town.
Give them that one in front of you, Wally.
either one,
Yeah.
This one?
No, he's got one.
It's got one now, so.
So we were retained, is this on?
If you press the button, does it go green?
There we go.
Okay.
So we were retained on behalf of the town to review the subdivision relative to just solely stormwater regulations. And I'm not necessarily sure that this is the forum to get involved in the nitty-gritty technical aspects of it. I'm happy to
Just an
answer
overview.
questions, but I think for the most part, I think, as Phil had alluded to, most of the comments are addressable. They're just, I looked at it from the standpoint as meeting the actual merits of the stormwater regs, plus, constructability and so on and so forth. I think the one topic that could perhaps be discussed, and this is my interpretation, just looking at the zoning bylaw, since this site is in a Zone 2 aquifer protection, I looked at under that section of that bylaw, which is section 1700. And under 1700, 6C, Roman numeral 7, earth removal is prohibited within 6 feet, essentially 6 feet within historical groundwater readings. And as Phil had alluded to, I mean, it's tough to dig down 36 feet to confirm that there's no groundwater, but they did dig down, I think, 10 to 12 feet. So it very well may be the case where groundwater is not within 30 feet of some of the higher elevation areas. Yeah, I just reviewed it on looking at that zoning, that should be confirmed.
And if this is Aquifer 2, isn't that special permit?
Yeah, well.
That's gonna kick off a
It kind of
different-
runs into what we did up at Sunset Circle, which is only 300 feet away. We don't let them take one grain of anything out of there. That's still the same elevation that was there, and that's at 90 feet. So, just so you know what we did with that subdivision. That's only 4 homes up there.
And that is special permit, I think Aquifer 2, I believe. It's a different application process, but just to throw that out there. Okay, so there's some stuff to mull over.
Yeah, I
and
think,
figure out.
I think for the most part, I think everything is achievable. We were asked to review it against the bylaws, and that's what we feel we did.
I have one question on the placement of the septic. It said P5 there, the first lot. There's a duck pond right across Center Street, somewhere real close to that. And I wondered if that is really 10 feet away from the water level.
Well, the septic's only have to be 4 feet or 5 feet above the water, depending on the property. We've given the septic designs to the Board of Health, and they're all approved. So I assume they took that into account.
I'd be a little worried about that.
Well, one of the things that I do see, and it goes along with what I heard Bill Dunn say, is those 3 middle lots where the houses are situated. I'd like to see those houses come back to be kind of like in line with the other 2 houses. Because one of the things, if they're looking right across that street, there are gonna be complaints all the time. And we're gonna be sending the building inspector, zoning enforcement officer out there all the time. It's gonna get to be heavy for this town to pay those kind of expenses. And if some of it ends up, the town gets sued over it and everything. We've run into things like that, so I would like to see myself personally, that this thing come out, that it is less invasive than what it presently is, because I know what it's gonna bring. So I want that to be something that you look hard and fast at, okay? Right now, is there anything else that the board has for questions or on this project?
Just a couple of things. This, besides the parcel the town owns now across the street, and one of the reasons why I was getting to you with the purchase price of this was because the town just put up quite a few millions of dollars to purchase that parcel across the street, okay? And so I do think that you need to, or at least suggest that you get into the Board of Selectmen to see if that somehow came into their plan with this. Off the top of my head, on the master plan, I don't recall this parcel because it was still owned by Chesterton, so it was always privately held. It technically still is now, and see what their plan is. And also Jim's comment that there was, and I'm not sure when, if at all, it would be activated, was an overlay district in that parcel for senior housing and some other stuff that was gonna go in there, which imagine if you've got a senior housing complex going into there, at some point in time, there is gonna be a lot of traffic going back, and that's Jim's point. However, there's a happy medium, so we don't repeat one of the other subdivisions where everybody pushed their houses all the way back and there wasn't any room in the backyard and chainsaws and swimming pools came out. So, I know there's a happy medium in there, but you guys will be well out of the picture if a homeowner makes that determination based upon the parcel, and that's the problem. The future homeowners that are gonna be in here aren't here. They don't show up till much later in the process, and then they don't understand what happened and how their lots were formed and restrictions and et cetera. And that's life, and that's just the way it goes. But we're here to protect the future residents of Groveland, and of course the existing ones and our constituents as to what this is to see forward on the plan on here. So, so I think there's a happy medium to answer Jim's question. I do think you need to get in with the Board of Selectmen on one of their meetings and see what's going on with their huge plan from across the way into that parcel. Sewer, interesting point, Jim. I don't know where that is down here. Bobby, there was talk about this coming down through that
It's behind-
parcel a long time ago.
Behind Whitestone.
So it's- and
quite a
then-
ways away.
And now, is that on the town's property now that we own that 236? Is that still
It's
far
on
out?
It's on the right of way for the.
And the track is gonna get activated for the rail trail, right?
Yeah,
They have to go all the way
but that's so far.
north of Baldwin Terrace, really, to pick up an
Give me a
outlet.
distance,
Oh,
so you know,
it could be half
Half
a
a
mile.
mile.
half mile?
Yeah.
What about shortcut through if there was a right-of-way through the town parcel, which would need
Well,
anyway?
that's the half mile.
That is
Yeah.
there.
And what you'd want that to be, you'd want that to be gravity, because
Yeah.
you don't wanna get pumps involved whatsoever.
Lift stations, right.
Yeah.
But if the town put anything in there, and I don't know if the water sewer board, Bill, maybe you know better, if they have water, if they have an extension plan that was gonna come down through that parcel, have you guys talked to water sewer to see what their big plan is? No? 'Cause I know there was talk about this whole area at some point, but I don't know where.
No, the sewer, water and sewer canvassed a lot of the residents because they were gonna put a sewer line underneath the new Route 97,
Yeah.
and they said no. It's just like this gentleman here.
Now, was that up with the McGuire vote, or was that after that one?
No, after they just did it.
Okay.
It was, this year.
This
Yeah.
year.
With a couple of months ago.
Couple of months ago.
You know, Phil,
This is why nothing gets done.
how far are these houses from the street? I never measured
Yeah,
that.
100, 120 feet.
So without hurting the setback, you could move them back.
Could move them back, yes. We'll look at that.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
The three in the middle, I mean.
Yeah,
The
yes.
question was, we purchased that Center Street property back then, the town people were all scared into that land was an aquifer, and we had to protect it, and that's why we purchased it. We spent
Mhm.
3.71 million.
Yeah.
Is this land here falling in the aquifer at all, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's in
roll-
Aquifer
rolls
too, yeah.
right through it.
Right, so, I mean,
It starts
so
on
we
the other
couldn't-
side of Salem
We
Street.
spent all that money to buy that land back
Yeah,
there,
I know.
and now we're gonna put 5 homes over here, and we're still in the aquifer, playing in the aquifer, and we're gonna take dirt out of it.
Well, that was my point, to get him in there to talk to you and see what's going
It doesn't
on.
seem like we're doing the right thing on behalf of the town people, number one.
And-
And number two, if it wasn't in the aquifer and it was a valuable piece of land, it must be zoned residential, that's why they're going with residential, could they look at business? Groveland needs
No,
business.
it's zone residential.
It's zoned
And they
residential.
couldn't change it without rezoning it to business.
Right.
Yeah, you'd
I
have
mean, I
to
think
rezone
Groveland
it.
needs business, they don't need more homes, but that's just my personal opinion.
That's been an argument for a long time down there. Just state your name for the, so you get it on there.
Patricia Willett, 2 Murray Court. I'd like to make a point for the record. When Phil showed us the plans, the abutters from Murray Court, Murray Road, and Harvard, we did not say that we were happy with this. We did say that in reviewing it, it could have been worse than it appears to be in regards to our property. But I don't think there's any one of us that abuts that property that is happy about this project.
Well, there's no project yet. This is
Wow.
an application before us with site removal.
Okay.
There are,
We're
they
not
are in our
on
lots.
site.
They're already in our lots here, but
In-
That's about it.
And I have a couple of questions. In your suggestion of moving the frontage on these houses lining Center Street back further, would that mean that the building would come closer to the Murray Road area?
I don't know what the intent is for the backyard, but I assume that everyone wants a backyard, so I think
Well, we can
What the clearing is.
dictate, you know, a
a
certain
buffer.
amount of buffer.
But you got a large,
Yeah, there would
Yeah.
be.
you got a large buffer
Right now,
here.
there is a large buffer, and that was
Yeah.
our indication that it could be worse.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we can dictate
Um,
that, you know, that's not a problem.
Is this
Well,
an
this-
existing hole here at 64
Yes.
feet?
Yes.
What, is that the pond you were talking about?
It's, that's,
Not a pond.
No.
What is
It's
that?
dry.
it's a foxhole.
Just a dry
It's a large foxhole.
Yes.
Is that a natural?
I think it's probably a sand pit used.
dugout,
There was a sand pit,
Does
there's
anybody-
actually a foundation of a
right.
Yeah.
hunting cabin or something that was in that property from years
Okay,
ago.
Jim, you're the historian. What do you-
Well, I mean,
what was in there?
years ago where they live, okay, your elevation was at 90 feet. So is where the Bagnell School, right to 97.
Yeah.
That now, all that sand and gravel they took out of there,
Yeah,
that's at Groveland International Airport, also known as Logan.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, that's, when I land there all the time, I'm coming home.
Well, immediately behind our
Okay.
homes on Murray Road,
that's good to know.
we have a hill that rises a good 20 feet from my backyard.
Okay.
And then goes down.
And then goes down again into that property.
Okay, so back to this again, does anybody, I mean, old foundation, old sand pit, what, were we talking 1850? What year was this?
Years
Anybody
ago,
know?
when we moved in, like, we've been here 43 years now, and that had something to do with, people would go in there and rest, it had something to do with the traveling back in those days, and that was like a rest spot, and there was like a little,
The Stagecoach Road?
yeah, like a stagecoach thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Center Street is, I guess, the longest, it's one of the longest stagecoach roads in Essex County, I think. It's connecting through, that is where the stagecoach went. Should have Claire in here, I bet she knows all this stuff. Okay, so that's staying just where it is, guys, as far as it goes in the plan, right? Just whatever that
Back
is.
to
Yeah,
stagecoach.
we're not changing that.
Okay. And maybe, you know, just to ask the question, this isn't dubbed a historical site in this area, is it? If it's a Stagecoach Road rest station and there's a foundation in there, does Claire know or anybody?
I'd be honest with you, I mean, I'm part of a Stagecoach Road at the back of my property, you know, in Elm Park.
Yeah,
It came from, what was it called, I think it was the Red Ball Tavern, which was on Main Street, you know, and it went up over a rise, almost at View Hill, and then back onto what we now know as somewhat 97.
yeah, it doesn't look like it's being disturbed at all, but, and Woods Road goes back in there now? Is that what I'm saying?
That's a track.
There's
That's,
a fire-
that's not,
It's a paper
fire
road.
break.
Normally, the way we mark something in the woods Road. We just- We
that's,
get it all the time.
that was the
Yeah.
original fire road access to
You need a
Chesterton.
really good
And
four-wheeler
then
to
they
get through
created
that.
a new road further over on their property,
Okay,
but it's not an accessible road.
okay, it doesn't look like a disturbed area anyway, but I was just wondering what that was all about on that.
Yeah, which brings up, you don't mind us doing a site walk on that, do you? The whole property, okay. You wanna set a date for a site walk, or you wanna just
Well, I wanna see-
float up there whenever you want?
Let's wait till you guys work the engineers out, then we'll get the engineers out, and then I would love to have you folks deal with the selectmen, get a meeting going on there before you guys spend a lot of money. And then we already know we gotta go through special permit and start pushing stuff down the line. on stuff on that. Let's see if we can all get on the same page.
What do you want? You wanna buy more land? We just
That's
spent three and a
not
half
my
million.
reason. We spent $3.5 million for other reasons, but anyway,
We can't take
it never
that.
should have been $3.5 million.
We're gonna build a new high school.
That's a
I
point
just,
for town
what
meeting.
I'd want, what I envision is, I just wanna see this thing come out, that everybody gets a lot happier. That's all.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question, and directed to the board, and maybe to the builders? What would happen, and I don't know if they know what I'm talking about, but over in West Newbury, they did a nice development over there where it was like an over 55 project,
Yeah.
single, compact homes. Why couldn't they do something like that?
that's CSD, that's what we were just
Yeah,
asking about.
they could do
Yeah.
Development, they could come in with a nice circle, keep it compact, keep it
Right.
away from us, keep it away from the neighbors, and still, make a buck on it that they need to make, but I mean, now it's not gonna hinder the neighbors.
That's what I was referring to, because that makes like a nice little circle community surrounded all over,
It's gonna
and
help
it's,
us with our over 55 housing and housing code that we need to meet.
yeah, and then the 8 that he talked about, they threw the number 8 out, you have to do the math, but,
It's gonna help the businesses there, it's gonna help the homeowners, and it's gonna help, they're gonna be able to use their land and do what they need to do. I mean, maybe the dollar value ain't there, maybe this is the best way to make a dollar, I don't know, but.
well, that's why we have these open meetings and hearings, but a CSD would clearly fit in there, but again, you guys have to run the numbers. The sewer, okay, that's something we gotta talk about, okay.
Not allowed in your regs.
Yeah,
Waiver.
we took it out, we put, it has to be sewered in to do a CSD, because you go to the extreme parts of this town, Bill, honest to God, you'll never get a sewer
Hey,
there.
that being said,
We
you
know
have
that.
Chesterton, which needs a sewer,
Yeah,
I mean, they're dying for a sewer.
yep.
We've talked about bringing the sewer across that property, I don't know if, between these guys in Chesterton and maybe, whatever.
That's why I was asking all those questions. Now, I don't know why the residents objected, because I don't live up there, sorry, but I do represent you, wouldn't allow a sewer main to come across, this is the second time across 97, just throwing a pipe in, just to have it in there.
$20,000 a piece.
How about if the town pays
1,000?
for it? You guys.
20,000.
No, I mean, just the conduit, is the state putting the conduit in?
What did it cost you for
Anyway?
your septic system?
18, it's done.
When did you do
I
it?
asked 2 years ago.
2
No,
years
we
ago.
don't have any
This is-
plans.
Why don't, if you guys are so really want that sewer system, why don't you guys put it in? We don't want it.
We
I
can't,
can't-
we
we
can't get any
cannot-
more Fed money, that's the problem.
We've lived
You
here.
just spent 3 million buying land.
I know, we've been here for like a long
That was,
time.
that was a
We're
choice.
gonna sewer the
That's
whole
somebody
damn
else.
town.
We've got current septic systems, and we
You're
can't
asking,
afford it.
you're asking old and tired people to remortgage their house. Like, I don't wanna do
No,
that.
What do you mean?
I'm
Sam?
not talking spending a dime, I just asked a basic question, why the state wouldn't run the
Well,
conduit
it-
underneath
what
and
to
cap it on
protect
either
well
end?
Let
one
the
is
leave
state
it.
do it, let the state.
Well,
do it.
that was my
We don't
question.
want an issue if
We
they
don't
wanna
wanna
put
pay.
something on 97, but
We
don't
lost
want
well
to have
one
to
back
be
in nineteen seventy-eight.
forced to-
Pay for it.
to
I don't know
pay
if you
for it.
remember
I understand the
that one, Phil.
connection, and I
Remember what
completely
happened?
understand your concern with the
1978?
dollars. My question was strictly regulated or restricted
West
to
Newbury.
crossing
Yeah, you
97
lost the
with
water,
a sewer
right?
pipe capped on either end
Yeah.
with no connect, just to
Well,
get that out of the
in
way, because once the
1978,
state
you had
pays that
one
road, you're done
business.
for 5 years.
That's never
No,
been
but don't make us
suggested.
pay for it.
Basically,
I don't think you'd be paying for a
it's
piece of
chemical
pipe.
What's,
known
was
as
suggested
TCP.
to us was that we were
They
gonna
were
be assessed
dumping
like
it
$30,000.
out
That's
the
if they
back of
connected
their
you to the
building
sewer and,
No,
for a year.
that's what it
No,
was.
that's to go in
It
front
costs
of a
extra
house.
to
You know, it's
And
for
then
one
another
screw
$5,000 to
machine.
$15,000
It's gone
to
now.
connect our homes.
Stick it
No,
through,
no,
stick
it
it
was
through the goal.
just
Meanwhile,
down on Washington Street.
we're planning not water sewer, so I don't wanna speak for
Yeah,
them,
we
and I
lost
have,
that
it's the
well
first
for
I've
a
heard of
Right, I
that.
understand.
So,
We used
but
to-
I know it wouldn't cost $30,000 to run a
provide
piece of
West
pipe
Newbury
that's
with
100
water.
feet long and cap it on
We
both
lost
sides.
Well, it
that
shouldn't
business.
cost us
It never
$100.
came back.
Shouldn't cost you a
We don't
cent.
wanna be involved
Why
It's
in
a
all
nice
that.
business.
That's not
I have no
what
idea, I
does.
didn't get the letter, I'm not on that route,
That's
so.
insane.
We got the well ones
Okay,
back.
maybe
to
someone from water sewer can send us
quality pretty
a
much
little
of what
note
it
on that
used
if
to
you're
be.
watching.
But-
So the board's updated on that. But thank you, that answered my question on that.
It's across the street from this subdivision. We-
Let's get back on
Yeah,
track.
can
Right.
we? That'd be great.
So how about we set a site walk, Jim,
Mhm.
after the engineers talk, these fellows meet with the selectmen, and then we could have maybe a
Well,
joint
When do
walk.
you want the next meeting with these people?
Well, he said a month, so
Then you better ask for an extension as well, because
I
you-
brought that up already.
Maybe we could, do you meet every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Why don't you set the meeting for 2 weeks? If we don't resolve our issues.
Then ask for the
continue.
extension, yeah.
All right, so the
Okay.
16th.
So motion to continue to the 16th at 7:30?
May 16th?
Yes, May 16th.
Can't be here.
May 16th.
Yes, 2 weeks from today.
Yeah,
That's just the next, see what's going on next week.
okay, you're floating that motion,
I am.
okay? All right, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
That's what time this
so
is.
we can see you guys battle it out, okay? Win one for us.
Did you schedule a sidewalk?
Not yet. It'll be after the engineers work through all the issues.
By two act,
After that meeting.
on,
Yeah.
section 2, the aquifer requires a special permit, I believe. So, we usually run them together, but that, you know, that special permit, that's the longest running app, so. But if, what you pointed out in section 2, then that's, you come up with another plan. That's accurate.
Are these plans available? Will there be copies of the plans available to us?
I'm gonna.
Here you go.
Well, no, we'll put it at the town clerk's
If,
office.
this is public record, we have one for the town clerk, we have 5 copies there.
They're going fast.
Will you be the
Wally.
duly
I will
represented?
get copies to the neighbors.
Here you go.
I may have to put this one on the plotter.
CSD,
Conservation subdivision design.
okay. Cartoon?
Cartoon is
It's a
a
cartoon.
drawing. This is what we call these.
Oh, okay. Okay. And A&R.
Approval not required under the subdivision control law.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No,
I like easy questions like that.
Yeah,
I guess you're gonna make more
No,
money.
no, no, absolutely.
All
Have a
right.
good night, thank you.
I'll give you a call.
Does that mean approval, this is gonna happen no matter what, or?
no, we just continued the A and Rs
No,
are
but-
the A and Rs, but.
Yes, but they don't understand what A&R is. So,
No, they could build a house there, no matter what.
Right, but if the zoning is correct and the other, they need other permits, other approvals, and this is why they're here. So they're following the procedure. These are nice guys, I mean, they've been for us before in subdivisions, they do good work. If there's a better project, I'm sure they'd like to do that too, especially one that's gonna cost less money.
Is there a senior housing overlay district?
The senior housing overlay district, we designed back with the master plan, I think I got a picture of it in there, that was going into this acreage, and one of the things was, we pitched this for the town to buy that 200+ acres, almost 20 years ago, where it was less than $300,000. And we're not in charge of purchasing land, the planning board, I mean, we're planners, long-range planners, we saw that as a problem way back. And over time, I mean, the max build-out in there that we did was somewhere to the tune of 1,100 units. Could have been in there, I think it was 1167, which would have put a 6,000 population in that area. Not that that would ever get that far, but that was a max build-out. More reasonably was 700 units that could go under there over time. That's still 3,500 population over down in there. So, but we pointed this out almost 20 years ago to the town, and we tried zoning changes and everything to get that through to a much cheaper price for the town back then, but it was, other things came up, I guess, and then finally a subdivision came in there, and, 100+, 200 units, so.
Okay.
have a good night. We'll
All
see you
right,
in
you very
2
much.
weeks.
In 2 weeks.
And
How
that,
does a project like this get to this point?
This is the first step.
Any of the abutters know?
This is the
I
first,
mean, they sold Chesterton's owned the land.
well, that's private, that's why I was asking
That's
about it, it's
private.
private sale, but if, for those that, watching at home, and if you
This-
watch the
this
meetings, they
thing's
came in through Chesterton for the A and Rs, which is the approval not required on subdivision control law, which is area, frontage, and driveways, and that sort of stuff that comes through. And that got approved to create the building lot. But then there's restrictions within that building lot, as you can see. I mean, 7 acres is a lot to remove, so they have to come in under an earth removal,
Down 30
by that.
feet?
Yeah,
A maximum of 30 feet.
maximum of 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's the hill behind that.
Taking the hill out, that's the
Well,
See, I mean, what comes next, and they've gotta watch the way they do it, because, I mean, you could get that stuff flying all over the place. I mean, if you lived in this town back in the 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah, that's, I mean, we've
And
seen
the
that over
gravel
here
was
when they were
going
doing the
to Logan.
pines. I mean, that was,
Okay, let me tell you right now,
so,
it was everywhere.
Well, we'll see, that's the first step, they're going through the procedure, thanks
I
for
don't
coming.
think you remembered, many of you, that what
Right.
that property we bought was on Center Street. There were hills all over that place,
Yep,
Yeah.
you know, and go
yeah,
on,
they hauled it all away.
yeah. Yep,
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
okay.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Go to Staples tomorrow?
You won't get another notice, so it's
Just
just.
tell everybody,
Yeah.
right,
Yes.
and if you can't make it, watch it on TV.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, thank you.
Watch the reruns. Tell your folks, your friends to watch the reruns.
It's
that
all
could
on
make it
YouTube.
tonight, so. It's on YouTube?
Most of them, yeah.
Well, the letter that we received was so vague. Once,
Yep.
once.
So just a copy
I
of the
texted my
notice.
husband, and he was like, it was vague about
Yeah, it just says public notice.
drainage in the
Yep.
backyard. He's like, I never gave it another thought.
Yes.
I read the letter, I remembered it. And it was
No,
very vague.
it's public notice, yep.
We're all done, right?
Yep.
No, I wanna run through these things so we
right.
know, okay, Dewhurst Street, Angelini's not gonna come in, in fact, he's got Christian and Sergi looking at this. To get one more lot, you know, he's
Talked
gonna
about
have to
that,
do
yeah.
a subdivision, so
Okay.
that's, it's gonna come later, okay? Sunset Circle, you know, we're all hearing, you know, that, it's gonna be going from Wallace Capital to,
Staples tomorrow and see what I can do.
you know.
Okay, so they gotta pick, if they're gonna do that, which is great, I'd rather see that in control. Is Larry gonna be back in
Thank
the
you. Have a
driver's
good
seat
night.
on the,
Thank you.
on doing it?
It's-
You're welcome. On the completion?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just don't know if it's actually gonna happen. Hulu may buy the second house in, if
Right.
it burned, okay, as well, and, but the one problem that I did hear is, you know, the possibility that Wallace Capital may be coming in. We have $175,000.
Right.
He's offered to give the Hulu $100,000, which means he's gonna want that $75,000.
That doesn't move till,
Well, it's gonna, he'll come in and ask for it, that's all I'm gonna tell you,
All
okay?
right. Yeah, I mean, if someone else comes in and they do a transfer, then, that immediately, another 170 something gets put right in place. And that's between them. Matter of fact, that should come out of the purchase for them, because that
Well,
stays.
that's not what he's talking.
But
That doesn't matter what he's talking. It's what is
Yeah,
gonna stay
They
put.
did about, roughly $30,000 of work when they.
They
cleaned
still have to
everything
work
up,
out
so-
that other drive issue with that neighbor with the house that's turned over twice now, who they've talked to, and Scott did when he was there and told him he'd build him a driveway in there right up against the other access road, because that frontage was supposed to switch.
did they
And
ever
it-
fix the other gentleman's wall?
No, that's, I'm
That's
gonna
part
read
of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna read this into the record, okay? This is from,
Tony?
Tony George, so I'm gonna go
Yep.
pretty quick, okay? Dear Board, as you are aware, my property abuts the new street, Sunset Circle. The plan that was approved shows a retaining wall on my side of the street. That wall, if built per the plan approved, would cause a hardship for me. My property sits below the street, and the way the wall is going to be constructed will create an area that will be impossible to maintain. I am willing to do the maintenance on the property that directly abuts mine, but I will not be able to do to the steep slope that will be created if the wall is built, as it is shown on the plan. I am requesting that the planning board require the builder to alter the wall so that my property is protected and that the area within the wall can be properly maintained. I would like a written acknowledgement of what steps, if any, the board and the owner of the property intend to take. I have requested to be notified of upcoming meetings regarding the Sunset Circle, and to date I have received no notifications of additional meetings. I would like to know where this issue stands and if there are any meetings upcoming regarding this issue. I did give Tony a buzz, told him we were meeting tonight, we'd bring it up. He never responded to me. But he has been talking to Steve DeHulu, and I was up there with Steve DeHulu one day, and we were looking at the banking and everything, and we were talking junipers all along Tony's edge there, the
Right.
slope.
But the way the decision is written, and that we boosted that back up, is that the board and Tony have full authority to create whatever is necessary that need to be in there. If that has to be a 6-foot wall, then that's gonna be a 6-foot wall, whatever it is. And that's why that language was inserted into that
One of the
decision.
things that you gotta look out for, because it was supposed to be a fence, and the fence was supposed to be the vinyl fence. Well, when the snow plows come through there, that thing is so close. If it throws snow, it's like concrete at that point. It'd go right through those vinyl fences.
Right, but it doesn't have to be a vinyl fence, it
That's
just has to be a
that's one of the
fence.
things that I talked to with Steve, and he proposed, well, if we did something, we'd do it with a wooden fence.
Yeah,
You put the metal stakes into the ground,
Right.
okay, into concrete,
Yeah.
okay, then put the fence into the
yeah,
metal stakes.
the old way to do a fence, right.
Yeah.
So, but that also comes right down to, you know, because when we were designing that whole section, we knew there was gonna be a wall, we also knew there's gonna be a fence, for lighting issues and everything else that goes with that, and a buffer. And it was up to, us, that once we saw how the project was completing, as to dictate what that is. And so if the wall is, it has to be somewhere between 2, and I just throw 6 feet, I don't think it is, but, you know, just to throw a number, then that's what it is. And then the fencing was supposed to go in front of that, okay, to block the traffic and all, and if someone did, you know, zip off the road and hit the fence, the wall would stop them from, you know, coming through someone's home. So that's why those two things were in there, and there's full flexibility with the board to get the proper product out there for, that needs to be there, and also to meet whatever Tony has requested, because he gave up a lot in the process, knowing that he was gonna get a finished product there to protect his home and his property. And it's so easy to do, it's not even that
Well,
big of a thing.
I don't know if this has gone through, is going through, or whatever. I'm telling you right now, the latest scuttlebutt that I'm hearing is it could happen, okay?
It's in the memorandum
There-
anyways,
There's
doesn't matter.
positives to this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Going through, but the negative is what he's offering to give, Wallace is offering just to give to the Hulu. I don't think it's enough.
Well, that
That's
has nothing to do with the
$75,000.
board.
I don't know, it's a never land at that point.
It's,
We probably owe them about 30,000
It
back
doesn't-
for what they have
the,
done, so.
I'm not sure how the numbers will crunch the way they do. And I don't think there's ever been a number proposed for a wall and a fence yet, so that might be that 30,000 number right there. However, it is the board's responsibility, not anyone else's, to make sure that that stays in place. Now, whether, if the parties make an agreement and they switch hands, if there's a replacement number going back and forth, then DeHulu, if they picked it up, would have to put the same exact number in for that. But typically, when we've seen this before, what happens is the parties make it. That number that stays in the town is also part of the sale, and that's how they do it. But that's, again, between the parties. We're protecting the town and those residents, that number
The way it
stays.
was put to me, I'm not sure that's gonna happen. That's the whole thing.
Well,
I'm
that's
saying,
between them.
you know.
I don't care what the
I
agreement is
mean, the
between
only
the
other
parties,
thing
the town
is
just
that,
keeps the
you
money
know,
there.
you don't wanna muddle this thing in a sense, and because I think if it gets to the Hulu's, I think that's a hell of a step up.
But
And-
it doesn't matter. We're not here for developers, we're not here for anyone else but the constituents of our town and those residents out there to protect this town. And to protect it on that development that's been going 10 years is to keep that 170+ thousand in place until completion, with everything from the as-bills that Bobby's gonna get, the plans and acceptance by the town, just the way we normally do everything else. Okay, and there's been too many strange things going on out there to waver. I don't care who's in charge at the moment.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, so
Well
we just,
aware of that.
let's see what the parties present, and if the parties need a meeting before the board, so we're hold firm that, hey, that's staying, you guys work it out.
I can talk to Steve at this
No,
point.
bring him into the board with the fellow that's making the sale,
Wallace?
Wallace. Hey, I hope he's watching tonight, Mr. Wallace, that money's gonna stay there until it's done,
He
work
ain't
it out.
watching.
So,
He's done.
I'm sure the Delulu's are, so, put that into your agreement, we're sticking with it for the town and the people.
Let me jump to another
Okay.
subject, okay, and that is, The PB meeting time is be a discussion, I put that down, okay, and that's basically, we've been starting at 7 o'clock, and we used to start at 7:30. Flavor of the board.
Motion to go back to 7:30.
What's, Lisa, what, you travel to Boston, right?
Yep.
So.
I can make
probably
7, but 7:30,
is
it
better
makes
for
no
you,
difference.
isn't it?
No,
Seven-
I usually get home in time to do either. It doesn't really matter. 7's almost better because I just come straight here and it's fine, but 7:30 gives me time to eat dinner, so.
7:30.
To everybody, is 7:30?
Sure.
Okay, 7:30 it is, I'll just put that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay,
Thank you.
okay. Okay, now the very last thing, I just wanna simply take some time to thank the town meeting. Thank the Board of Selectmen for supporting both articles, which was the town planner and the new zoning bylaw. And also the Finance Committee for also allowing the town planner dollar amount to go forward, okay? And I'm sure that this is going to be, for the future, a very positive situation. And also reach out to Sam Jocelyn and both Casey and Kathy from the zoning board helped me an awful lot. Bobby was with me for a while as we were going forward with the zoning bylaw. And all I can tell you is, we are going to start meeting again. Our first meeting is next week, Thursday night, on the 11th, and we're gonna tackle a lot of the stuff we didn't do. And you know, it gets harder from here, that's all I can say, because a lot of it is, you know, somewhat controversial. And
We can do it little by little.
well, that's the whole thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
You don't have to bring up
I
27
have
more
to
articles
go
at
back
once.
through my notes, and that's what we'll do at the first meeting. We'll round up what we didn't do,
Yeah.
and basically try to put some of that stuff in order of sequence and everything. I don't think we're gonna solve anything that night, but I think we're just gonna, you know,
I think to get the,
try to get the
there's
gravity
a
of
couple
what's
of quick
right
ones that
ahead
came
us.
out of the town meeting. And then, and just to straighten out some of the, like that accessory apartment stuff. Get that squared away and what the intent was, you know, because I wrote that article many years ago, and I know what the intent was, but it was never forward through because we didn't have the zoning change to go with it, the zoning book change. So to put that in place, and then prioritize accordingly. Let Sam prioritize, and all the boards and all the inputs go, you know, if there's 20 items to change, which one's first, and you can't overload everybody, so we'll do a couple at a time, I guess, or as the need comes up.
That we know. Now, there was some other things that, are we happy with it, or are we unhappy with it? Site plan, expanded quite a bit. But if you read it, it could be a lot better, believe it or not.
Right.
It really could be.
How many?
So we
sometimes we have
may,
changes already.
we may look, what we're gonna do is, anything that we wanna bring up, we're gonna look at other towns' bylaws. We're gonna try to get as many as we can along the way and everything. But we're gonna kind of focus on towns our size that have just gone through the AG's office within the last 3 years.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go in back to the lawyers or anything like that, because that's an expensive proposition, and quite frankly,
Also bogged us down for 10 years.
it's what bogged us down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of what we did this time around, we did on our own, strictly on our own.
Jim, when we
So-
rewrote the subdivision control law and back in the early to mid-90s, as we were punching through with that, once that went through the AG's office and got through, it was the first comprehensive subdivision control law that had been filed in the Commonwealth in 27 years. And for the first 3 or 4 years, we were getting lots of calls from other towns requesting that they take pieces of it, you know, legal plagiarism, to put forth into there. So it's it's a very common practice, and I think that's a smart way to go. It certainly streamlines it, and then you tailor it, the boilerplate, to meet Groveland's specific needs and the community's specific needs, and input from everyone, and then you've got a pretty good product going forward.
Yep,
And I think that's a good way to attack that, so.
well, that's what we're gonna do, so, it's,
Hats off, that was a good
That was
town
good.
meeting.
yeah, we were,
Aside from the,
we,
Trouble in River City.
we were kinda happy in an odd sense, in that the only person that spoke negatively towards it, almost like handed it to us.
That's
I
all right, it
was-
was interesting, but
Yeah.
it was a good,
Yeah.
it was a good town meeting, it went
Yeah.
through.
And there was only.
Fairly
articles
quickly.
too, it
Yeah,
did, it
yeah.
did.
40 articles in
Yep.
2-ish hours, 3-ish
Yes.
hours?
It was
Yeah.
good. I think Bill did a nice job, by the way, on that as media, going through town moderator, thank you, for getting that through, so. All right, what else you got? Anything else? Read everything?
Not
in?
really
All right.
much of anything else,
All right.
that's it, so we can sign
Motion to
off.
adjourn.
Okay,
Second,
okay,
third.
oh, yeah, all in favor, say aye,
Aye.
okay.
Thank you for watching.
We're dead.
Personal plug.